Hello Unity developers. So I'm going to use the Unity tools so that I can scroll text across the keyboard with Chroma. And to do this scrolling text effect, I'll need a couple things. First, the Unity native Chroma SDK plugin so that we can capture from the camera onto a keyboard effect. The second thing is I need kind of a block font here. And I like this font because not only is it blocked, but it's slightly slanted, and that just makes it show up a little bit better. Okay, so I'll post the link to this in the description, and go ahead and download the font. Okay, and I'm just going to save this font zip right into my Unity assets. Okay, here we go, and I'll unzip the font. Okay, it's just got some stuff in it. Unity knows what to do with this. Alright, so we're done with that. Now I just need to open the checkout with Unity. Here we go. It imports the font. Okay, so we have the Unity native Chroma SDK folder, examples, scenes, and we'll use the text scene here. There we go. Hello world, but it's using the default Arial font, and we want it to use this Velo font. Okay, so from font, I'll just say switch to the velos.font. Okay, and it does that. We just need to update the material to use this font material. There we go. Okay, now it has the hello world there. We're going to need to do some capturing for Chroma. So if I go to Window, Chroma SDK, open Capture window. Here we go, and then I'll dock that. And if it's not already specified, use the capture camera and then give it a name. So I'll call this animation text keyboard. Okay, and I'll just capture a single frame and tell it keyboard. Okay, cool. And if I open the emulator, let's use the hand tool and just place this over the keyboard and take a frame snapshot and look at the emulator to see what we get. Okay, so since we're dealing with limited resolution here, we want to make sure that each letter fills up the entire keyboard on the height. So let's zoom in, or double click the text and then zoom in and kind of line things up. And you want to look at this little render texture preview. Okay, and I'll capture a frame. Alright, and right away you can see, okay, that's really hard to see. One thing to help how this looks is you want to uppercase all the letters. So let's do hello world. Okay, and capture a frame. And you can see that's a little bit better. But even better is if you can add an extra space between each letter. That'll make them stand out a little bit better. And 2 spaces between each word. I'll capture another frame. Okay, and you can see it's way more readable now. But we want it to be scrolling, so there's a trick for that. Alright, so to do the scrolling, there's a helper script in here. So if I go to the project view and search for translate, there's this translate over time. If I drag that onto the text game object. Okay, it's a little script that over time it's moving in a certain direction given a certain speed. So on the X, if I say like -6, there we go, and you can see it moving along. One thing here though is you see it's moving a little bit choppy because we're not in play mode, so there's not as many updates. So if I stop the script and hit play, Switch to the scene view. Put the text back to the origin. Don't look like it. Alright, reline things up. Now when you look at this picture, you want to line things up so that the top hits the very top of the top row keys and the bottom hits the bottom row keys. And then we'll just move it to the side. Right about there. Okay. Alright, so when you're capturing, there's a couple different ways to capture. You can do a single frame at a time, but in this case I just want to capture until I hit stop. And I can turn on this script to scroll it by. And you can see I missed. So let's stop. Make it a little bit higher there. Alright, set it back to the origin. Okay, stop and start the capture again. Okay, turn on the script, and now it's scrolling by. And you can see the spacing looks good. You can make out what the letters are. Okay, and when the last letter goes by, just hit stop. And stop the script. And stop, and let's see what we have. So we go back to playback. There should be a animation in here called text keyboard. Yep. And if I loop that, okay, so here you go, you can see it moving. Now that you have an animation template that does text, we can refer back to the guide, and there's a lot of things that you can do with it. So this template is compatible with other engines. It can play on web pages like the guide, and through the scripting API you can colorify this thing to do all kinds of stuff. Alright, and thanks for watching.